Bjorkman from Sustainably.
Yeah. So, thankfully, I did take my husband's advice and put my notes on my phone because he said he was at a massive conference in Vegas and the same thing happened to him. They went press play, they went, and no notes on his phone. So hi everyone. As Russell said, I'm Jenny Bjorkman and I am the UX lead at Sustainably. So I'm particularly excited about being here because I think I've said to a few people tonight, the UX Edinburgh meetup is usually on a Monday night and I can't do it because of childcare. So, but I do have childcare tonight, just in case you're wondering, like phoning social services, like, it's not home alone or anything. So a little bit about me. I did 17 years in financial services in various roles, including information design, project management and marketing, before chucking it all in and doing a professional diploma in UX design and joining Sustainably. So a big corporate to startup, bit of a change. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to have to coordinate my notes with here. So yeah, that's me. Okay, so before we start, who here has actually heard of Sustainably? Oh, good stuff. So we're pretty new. We launched in June last year. And we kind of kept it quiet because we wanted to iron out the creases before we started shouting about it. But now the platform's live, so we want as many users as possible. Wink, wink. So if you don't know who Sustainably are, we like to say that we're a simple way of living and giving. So essentially taking a fresh new approach to connecting you with the causes that you love. Kind of like Netflix, but for social good. So our main product is Roundups, which is great because it lets you change the world every time you shop. You don't have to do anything, you can just set and forget if you're one of those people. And it automatically rounds up your day-to-day purchases and it makes micro donations to the cause of your choice. So this is made possible by the exciting new world of open banking. If anyone's heard of open banking? And because we're dealing with sensitive information, we're really big on security and privacy. And we built it from the ground up with bank-level security. And it's been externally verified, and they're really impressed. Our developers are amazing. So we don't pass on your details to any of your causes. It's your tool to engage with them and not the other way around. So you can see your impact, but all your donations are anonymous. So we've won quite a few awards, and at the end of last year, Richard Branson named us Startup of the Year, which we're all kind of still pinching ourselves about. But what I really want to talk to you about was one of the main and ongoing challenges that we have at Sustainably, is we have no time, no people, and no money. So does anybody else here work for a startup? So you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So before we get into that, just out of interest, how many people here have heard of open banking? And how many people are actively using an open banking product? Oh, quite a few, that's great. If you don't know what open banking is, it's a government initiative that gives you full ownership of your data and lets companies like us design innovative products with you in mind. The catch, well, we think open banking is fantastic, but the catch, or think the catch is you have to give away your online banking details. Well, you don't really, but that's what it looks like. And that's something the banks are spending millions of pounds every year telling people not to do. So in terms of user onboarding, that is like a Ben Nevis-sized speed bump. And yes, I know that's bookletter, but it turns out Ben Nevis just isn't that impressive in photos. It kind of just looks like a big hill. And not everyone's heard of bookletter, so look, forgive me my artistic license. So how did we decide to help users scale this like Ben Nevis-sized speed bump? In short, we spoke to them, and we chose usability testing because that was going to give us our biggest bang for our buck. So we knew we had to do some testing because we sound a bit like a phishing scam. But we're a startup, so we have no money. So what do we do? So we looked at big platforms, but as you'll know, they've all gone down the subscription route, and they're like eye-wateringly expensive. We had an agency that were interested in helping us. Even with the discount, it was like way out of our price range. Quote came back and we were like, okay, I guess we're on our own then. So how did we do usability testing with no time and no money? Well, we got organised. So, as you know, there are loads of techniques that we could use at this point, but we decided to combine depth interviews with usability testing to give us the biggest bang for our buck. Sorry, I've just lost my place in here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that was going to give us the most out of the time that we had with our participants. So first we wrote interview scripts with warm-up questions and depth interviews and then tasks. So for the warm-up questions, it's the usual kind of thing, like where do you live, what do you do for a living, blah, blah, blah. The depth interviews, we really explored with people what they were, how they used financial products online, and then how they liked to give to charity. And then for the tasks, we got users to complete our registration process. So we got them to register for Sustainably with roundups, because that's our main product. And to get a better idea of what users would actually do, we've got the app ready in staging. And that meant that people could input real data. So we let them input their real email address and their name, et cetera, but when it came to the bank stuff, we gave them fake data just because we thought that would make them feel a bit more comfortable. So we gave them a dummy card number. And then when it got to the online banking process, it was just a clickable prototype. And then we did a recruitment screener, which was just for internal use only. And it's exactly the kind of thing that you would do if you were getting an agency to recruit participants for you. And it just meant that everybody internally was on the same page with the type of people that we were looking for, because as you know, there's no point getting somebody in to test a mobile app if they don't have a smartphone, total waste of time. And then we utilised all of our existing networks. So that was friends, family, ex-work colleagues, and then other institutions that we were in partnership with, like Edinburgh Uni. So, we then, because we had no money, we used existing equipment that we already had lying around. So for very little money, we were able to run tests that would literally cost you like thousands if you went externally. And the output that we got was extremely high quality. So I had a laptop with ScreenFlow on it, ScreenFlow and Reflector on it. Has anyone used ScreenFlow? Oh, a couple. Okay. It's brilliant. It's really, really good. So for anyone who hasn't used it, you get to see, it's like a lot of these screen recordings, you get to see the person and you get to see what they're doing on the screen. And if you're if you're doing a desktop test, then you just need ScreenFlow. If you're going to do a mobile test, then you need Reflector as well. And Reflector just reflects the phone screen up onto the ScreenFlow screen, and then ScreenFlow captures the whole thing. It's great. Beware though, if you haven't used it before, the files are absolutely massive, like massive. And I'm talking like 30 gig massive, they're absolutely huge. So then you convert them to MP4s for storage and it's totally fine, but I learned that one the hard way. Just make sure you've got enough space on your hard drive or you will lose a whole test. Then we had a gooseneck, which is basically like a clamp that holds the phone, a kind of movable clamp, and that had the phone on it. And then we had a phone on Skype connected to a tablet in the next room, very high tech. That meant that the team could listen in the next room. And then we had a bunch of wires and chargers and extension cables, et cetera, So we didn't want to limit our room setup because we didn't have an extension cable, and you definitely don't want to run out of juice halfway through a test. So the whole test, including everything, I already had ScreenFlow and Reflector, but if you were going to buy them, the whole test, including everything, cost about 375 quid. But you could do it for nothing. So ScreenFlow and Reflector both have free trials, and if you want another trial, just use another email address. And as we already had a gooseneck lying around, but we could have just put the phone on the table. And as I said, we give everyone 40 quid of Amazon vouchers, but if you're totally skint, you can use like friendly people, as long as they match your target market. So I'm sure there'll be UX purists in here, back to Bobby's point, gasping in horror at this point. But I did it on a previous project, and I was testing a flight app, and all of the people that I tested with were all friends and family, but they had all booked a flight within the last month, which meant that they all matched my target market. And all it cost me was 4 boxes of chocolates, bonus. So, on the day we packed them in, started at 9, finished at 5, did 6 back to back. I don't recommend it. You know when your eyes go that spinny way and you're asked the same question like 6 times? I think all I ate all day was like a banana cake that I'd made the day before. I do recommend that. So post-testing analysis. Again, because we were short on time, I only had 1 day to create a customer journey map. So during our test, we had our lovely product owner, Christina, who a few of you know in here, typing up the notes as we go. Christina can touch type, which I'm extremely jealous of. So Christina typed up the notes as we were doing the tests, and the notes were set up in such a way that it was really easy to pivot it into a spreadsheet when we'd finished. And that saved a whole day's worth of like typing up notes and formatting them, etc., etc. So I had the flow across the way, and then the people down the way, and then all I had to do was like pick out the main points, add emojis, and we're done. And this allowed us to pivot really quickly on features and smooth out any snags. As an example, the results of our testing showed that people weren't really understanding why they had to connect their bank and then add a payment card. So we turned that into a 2-step process. We added those screens on the back of the usability testing. So I suppose the main point that I wanted to get across was that, yes, working in a startup is fast and furious, but you can always keep the user at heart and find time to squeeze in some usability testing. So it's been great talking to you, and feel free to connect on social. Be glad to talk to you about anything UX related. So,
Brilliant.
Thanks.
Thank you. Great. Could I ask the